Howdy, welcome to another Kinstretch class. I got my old friend Max here to work through some of our favorite hamstring activation drills. This class is really intended to give you a felt sense of your hamstrings and also train and strengthen those super important muscles. To work on those positions, you're going to need a few props. Tennis ball or balled up socks will work fine, just something to sneak behind your knee a little later. Also a nice large pillow. We're using a meditation cushion here, but anything that's going to have some real cushion to it that you can lay your pelvis on when we lay face down a little later. And then finally some seat. So it could be just a dining room chair or even a couch that you're going to orient around. You're going to need to put your heels on it laying on the ground and also sit on it. How weird. Okay, so go ahead and gather those props and then we will dive right in with a little warm-up for your spine to get started. I'm going to have you do that laying on your back on the floor. All right, so once you're settled on the ground with your heels on the chair, you want to set up the amount distance away where you can get about a 90-degree angle bend in the knees, laying comfortably flat on your back. And then from here, you're just going to start to feel your hamstrings for the first time in this class, just digging your heels down into the seat. And as you do, you could even, if you can reach, feel the back of your thighs kind of engage and turn on. It can be really helpful to complete that sensation circuit by actually using tactile touch. Once you get a sense there, though, you can leave your hands by your side and start feeling how the more you engage those hamstrings, the more you're able to control your pelvis and start peeling your tailbone away from the ground. You can keep peeling your spine up until about the beginning of your rib cage. So when you feel like you're about ready to pick up the first rib, the bottom of your rib cage, you can start laying your spine back down to the floor. Good. And then once your spine is flat again, make sure you still feel heavy heels and start curling your tailbone away from the ground, finding that control from the backs of your thighs, back of your pelvis. Okay. Getting up to that rib cage height and laying your spinal column back down on the floor, segment by segment. Great. Okay, pause for just a moment. Right now we've been focusing on the back of the thighs to control your pelvis. Of course, we could also use the front of your torso to control your spine and spinal motion. So take a moment to feel into your abs, and then when you take a full exhale, blowing all your air out, you should feel some engagement in that area. And then you're going to keep that engagement while you create that heel pressure and use now both the back of your body and the front of your body to curl your tailbone again. Maybe finding a little bit more segmentation, a little bit more control, and especially trying to feel into how you can move any of those stickier segments of your lower back. Still just working to about rib cage height and then back down. Great. Good. Keep working on this at your own pace for about 30 more seconds and make it your goal to feel and control your lower back 1% better by the end of this little time set. So you're really feeling into any of the muscles contracting, any senses of stretch that you might notice. Last rep, engaging to whatever level of intensity you'd like to take this class to today. These are nice big muscles, so you could work pretty hard if you'd like. Good. Now next time your tailbone gets to the floor, just rest there for a moment, and while you're set here, I want to give you a chance to now feel spinal motion in the other direction, into extension. So I'd actually like you to keep your heel pressure working, so your hamstrings are on, but now we're going to do a weird thing and start tilting your belt buckle away from your nose, so in the opposite direction you were just training. This might start to create an arch underneath your lower back, and I want you to feel into that muscular sensation of arching your lower back as much as you can, trying to arch even through your rib cage, maybe even up to your shoulders, and really find that extension. Keep your heels heavy and start laying your spine flat on the ground again. You could work from the bottom up and feel control through each of those segments. Again, belt buckle away from your nose to find that extension shape again and start to arch your spine away from the floor. Really finding the muscular feeling on the back of your body, even while your heels stay heavy. And then keep those heels heavy and start laying your spine back flat on the ground. Okay. One more rep. Again, make it your goal to just feel 1% improvement in awareness and control. You just might not find more movement, so that's why I don't want amount of movement to be your goal, but actually that control component. Good. Taking your time, breathing. Awesome. And let that go. All right, now we're going to continue this by coming onto your side lying position, so you can scooch out onto the floor. I'm going to move up to the seat, and here we're just going to work on our side lying hip car. So come into whatever side lying position is comfortable for you. You could throw a pillow under your head or just your arm as Max is showing. And then with your free hand, you have a few options. I'd recommend at first using it to monitor your pelvis, just like Max is showing. You could feel your pelvic bone. You could also feel your back, put your hand on your lower back. Or if those options don't feel good for your shoulder, you could just pin your hand to the floor and create tension that way. All right, so pick whatever variation you'd like. And then keeping your top knee bent to 90 degrees, start reaching your heel behind you to explore hip extension. As you max that out, let that extension start to turn into abduction, lifting your shin towards the sky. At some point during that lift, your knee will have to start coming forward so that your pelvis doesn't change position. So keep staying laying on your side as you sweep that knee all the way across, touch knee to knee, and pause there for a moment to feel that engagement in your inner thigh while your knees contract together. And then go ahead and go the other way, knee to chest, shin to the ceiling. Keep that height as you start to sweep that leg back behind you. Make sure you're breathing with this active effort as your knee comes towards the floor. And then again, knee touches knee. Good stuff. All right, now for a second rep for this hip car, shift your hand to be on the floor if it wasn't already, and take a moment to really lean your arm into the ground. So you're not just pushing with the arm, but you're actually using your whole body. This can help engage a bit more tension through your midsection, which will in turn let you work a little harder through that hip. All right, so here we go. Start driving your leg again behind you, but key in particularly to the muscles in the back of your thigh that pull your leg into this position. Then feel those muscles spill over to muscles on the side of your hip to lift your leg. And then feel that effort spill into the front of your hip to pull your knee as close to your body as you can without your spine changing shape. Once your knees touch, we're just going to retrace those steps, but go slow so you can really sense into as much contraction of these hip muscles as you can. That combined with your body brace will really help you center this movement right on the hip joint and not let it start to move any other part of your body. Great stuff. Good. Okay, finish up that rep and then let your tension dissipate, and let's go ahead and just warm up the other hip. So turn over onto your other side. Okay, and then again, for this first rep, let's just have the hand sort of monitoring your pelvis if that works. And then take a moment to brace, just about 50% for the first one, and then start driving your top heel behind you to start this hip car on this other leg. Really sensing into what you notice on this leg and being open to the idea that it's gonna feel different than your first leg. All right? That's not a problem, there's nothing wrong. It's just we gotta keep our awareness available. As your knees touch, go ahead and sweep back to retrace your steps. Knee to chest, shin to the ceiling. Max says knees are people too. There we go, sweeping those knees all the way back behind and cutting those knees together. Okay, with your knees together, squeeze the knees to feel that inner thigh contraction, and then use your hand now on the floor for a little extra brace. So this next rep should feel like more work. Drive your heel behind you, trying to feel into almost a cramp level of contraction of all these muscles in the back of your hip and now the side of your hip, and then feeling that spill into the front of your hip, and then finally into your inner thigh and groin area to pull those knees together. Keep breathing around a strong torso brace as we go knee to chest. Shin to the sky. pushing those knees apart and then keeping that height as you reach your heel behind you. Keep your body braced as your knee heads towards the floor, and then knee touches knee. Good. Very nice work, okay? And as you relax here now, you should kind of note like, oh yeah, I was really working through my torso and my hips. If not, then part of this class for you is going to be focused on really engaging more contraction. All right, so now you're going to shift back up to the chair, come into a seated position on your seat. And we're going to take just a moment to do a little low intensity work, really to focus on the quality of the tissue that is your hamstrings. So we'll do this one leg at a time. Just straighten out your left leg to start, to not quite a lock in the knee, but a little bit of a bend. Okay, and then keeping the toes in that gas pedal up position and starting to reach your tail feathers up to the sky and your belly button forward. We're just hunting for the most subtle stretch that you can find in your hamstring. Okay, and Max, just let me know when you feel that. Yeah, starting to feel it a little bit. So right now we're not really pushing into the stretch at all, so just finding a little bit of a stretch. Obviously you might need to lean more or less. Some of you will feel like you're not getting any stretch even if you lean all the way forward. And for you, I want you to be at about this angle where Max is. I know you won't feel any stretch, but you'll get the inputs that we need here. Okay, so once you feel that light stretch, keep your body still, but ask your heel to get about 5% heavier into the ground. So a very light PAILs contraction. And then keep that PAILs contraction, pushing the heel down, and start rotating the thigh out to the side, keeping your heel pressure steady, and then rotate that thigh into internal rotation. You need to go slow as you go back and forth to make sure that you never lose that 5% pressure through your heel. And particularly for those of you who felt no stretch, this is going to be a key drill for your brain to start really learning how to use your hamstrings effectively. So really pay attention to, is my heel staying heavy actively into the floor? Give it about 15 more seconds. Maybe seeing if you can twist further, but never giving up on that heel pressure. Good. Last rotation. And then slowly release and relax that 5% effort and just sit upright for a moment. Okay. Now, probably as you rotate, you're going to notice that that tissue feels a little different depending on where the thigh was rotated. I want you to note if there was any lines of tension that felt particularly maybe tight or stretched or in need of more stretch. Okay, and we're going to come back to that exact line. Did you find one? Did you feel one?
Yeah, more out.
More going out, external rotation. Perfect. Okay. Now let's check in on the other leg. So same idea, not quite a lock, but a straightish leg. And then lean your body forward to hunt for just the most subtle signal of stretch from your body. Good. And then, unlike usual where we would try to wait out this stretch, we're going to just start right now with a light PAILs contraction. Heel pressure increasing to about 5% of your maximum. If you're like, I don't know what 5% feels like, Will, it should just be a little bit, okay? Just a touch of pressure. And then once you lock into that, start slowly rotating your thigh outward as far as you can while keeping heel pressure, and then inward into hip internal rotation. Good. Yeah, and you can see Max has his hand on the pelvis, kind of feeling into, oh yeah, this is really my hip that's creating this motion of the leg. And those hamstring muscles attach right at your hip. So it's really important to feel for heel pressure, but feel that the result of that is happening in the back of your thigh and the back of your hip. Give it about 20 more seconds. Scanning here for if there are any lines that feel more in need of stretch or maybe more gummed up. Great stuff. Also noticing if there's any angles where you're not able to create that heel pressure. That's a good indicator of a need for a little bit healthier tissue quality there. And relax. Good. Okay, so go ahead and come upright and just think to yourself again, which line am I going to focus on when we come back for a little isometric? All right, so let's give that isometric to that first leg, that left leg. So again, straighten out the left leg, not quite locking the knee. And then lean your way forward, just a gentle stretch. And then find your angle that you're going to be working on for this PAILs contraction. If you don't remember it or you don't have one line that stands out, you can just pick any angle you'd like. And as you come back for rewatches of the class, pick a different angle. Okay? So Max found his angle. Now from here, I want you to tighten up that stretch just a little bit more. So once you find that line of tension, this time you are going to ask for a little bit more stretch in that line. So it's probably going to feel like you're reaching your belly button forward, your tail feathers up, just to fine tune and turn up that stretch. Once you're at end range, you can brace your body by putting your hands on the chair or on your other thigh, and then start again with 5% heel pressure. The goal being specifically to put tension into that line of stretch that you're focused on. Gradually build from 5 to 10%, then 15, 20, and continue ramping up the intensity of this PAILs contraction to your greatest safe feeling contraction. That might be anywhere from 50 to 100%, and then hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, stay focused on it as you gradually now ramp it down and keep your body still. Okay, and then go ahead, come up out of this. All right, so that's just a little taste of what you might do if you know that you have a real tissue quality issue in that hamstring. You could just as soon come back and do a second or third or even multiple reps throughout the day of that stretch plus PAILs. Okay, let's get the same input in for the right leg. All right, and I don't even know where Max's line that he's going to train on this leg is. Might be the same, might be different, but go ahead and find the angle you want to train. And then once you've found it, lean into just a little bit more stretch. We're not trying to overwhelm or force this muscle long. We're just trying to give the signal a little, or the brain a little signal of length in this tissue. Then brace your body on the other thigh or on the chair and start your gradual ramp up of PAILs. 5% to start, heel pressure pushing down, and then gradually building that to 10%, 20%, going slow to make sure nothing is changing shape or moving in your body, 30%. And then as you keep growing the intensity of the effort, you'll feel the rest of your body come into the drill as well. Build it up to your greatest safe feeling effort on this side. Lit, 5, 4, 3, focusing on consistent pressure, and then slowly ramp down that effort all the way back down to 0, and then come up right out of this stretch. Okay? So that's going to be some of the only work we do in this class on the hamstrings being in a long position. But again, that's how we really can affect the tissue quality. All right, great work. So now we're going to come down into a back lying position, a supine position on the ground. And you're not going to need your chair for the rest of the class, so you can kind of move away from that if you'd like. And we're just going to now start asking that hamstring to work in a little bit long position, just like you were just working, but now from a hip extended shape, which is really how it works most of the time. So start again with your left leg, straightening it out, not quite to a locked position, but just extending it out so you have a slight bend in the knee. And then pull your other thigh in towards your stomach, and you could wrap your hands around the back of the thigh or around the shin, or you could even wrap a yoga strap around your ankle. The key here is that you feel like that non-working or non-straightened leg is just completely passively out of the picture. Okay, so this shouldn't feel too stressful for your upper body. All right, so begin this first rep for your left leg by, again, asking that heel to get 5% heavier into the floor. And then as you feel that engagement in the back of your thigh, start thinking about, are you just extending your hip, meaning driving your leg down? Can you add to that the feeling of trying to bend your knee as well? So this will pull in more of the hamstring muscles. There are 3 of them. Okay? And then continue building the intensity of your effort. So come up to a 30%, 40%, smoothly ramping up to 50, 60, 70, 80%, 90%. And if it feels safe, bring it all the way to 100% effort, feeling your whole body on tension, and then walk with me back down. 90%, 80%, 70%, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, stay with me, 10%, and 0. Okay, very nice. So as you let your right leg go, pull that left leg in, we switch sides. Just a couple comments here. The first being, it can sometimes feel like only the high intensity efforts are important or change making in your body, but it's those lower intensity efforts that really indicate control over the muscle. And that's what we need for most of the movement we do every day. So don't sleep on those lower intensity efforts. The second piece is, notice here if your toe is pointing way out to the side. For some of you that might feel normal, and I want you to try to make your toe point straight up to the ceiling, which will get our hamstring in a better position to actually contract. All right? So on this side, hugging that left leg in, 5% effort with your heel to just feel engagement, and then notice hip and knee joint being involved as we build up to 10%, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, keep growing, 80, find another level of intensity for 90%, and 100% if that feels achievable. Stay with it as we now ramp down, 90, 80, 70, still pretty significant, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, and relax. Good. Okay, we're going to just get one more rep on each side here so you can really feel into this drill. And one question I get quite a lot is it okay if I feel other muscles working? My answer for you is, at a certain intensity level, we can't really keep the neighboring muscles off. So once we get over like 60% effort, yes, your glute and your calf, probably your ankle, and just the whole body will be involved. But at those lower intensity efforts, I really encourage you to try to be as specific as you can, feeling it right in the belly of those hamstrings, and then feeling that engagement spread out into the back of the thigh. All right? Do the best you can. Here we go on the left leg, second round. Brace and start 5% effort, grow it up to 10. Hit every percentage point to 20 and 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. Now I want you to entertain the idea of pushing that heel behind you, almost making your pelvis light on the ground, but no need to lift it as we continue ramping up to your greatest safe effort. Give me everything you got here. Now stay focused on it and ramp it down. 90, 80, 70, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, and relax it completely. Awesome. Okay, so hopefully that second round you felt a little bit more control of that contraction. Let's do our second round on our right leg. And again, just start here feeling your body heavy on the ground, just laying there. And then as we get to those higher intensity levels, you might try to feel your pelvis getting light on the floor. All right, but start here with just 5% pressure through the heel. Bring it up to 10%. And then control that to 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, really feeling the hip and the knee. 80, maybe noticing your pelvis trying to get light as you push the ground behind you. 90, and your greatest safe effort before we ramp down. Stay with it. 90, 80, 70, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10, just a little bit, and then complete 0. Notice that before relaxing, coming out of that position. Awesome, very nice work. So that's hard work that you're just doing by pushing into the floor. I always want people to realize that they don't need to have equipment or go to a gym to get that high intensity level training for these biggest muscles in the body. All right. So now we're going to move to training the hamstring in another way that it works quite often, which is with a knee bent. And for here, you're going to be in side lying, and you're going to want your tennis ball for that. I'm going to have Max kind of do the antisocial thing and face away from the camera just so that you can see what I'm going to indicate here for the control of the hip. We're going to start with the right leg, so you should be laying on your left side, and then you're going to sneak the tennis ball into the area behind your knee. And this can take some working or some finicky kind of playing with it, just to make sure you have the right size ball. Maybe if you're wearing leggings or pants, it gets a little slippery. You do want some prop behind the knee because this really helps the brain understand what you're asking of it. Okay, and then already holding that item, you should feel some activity in the back of your thigh, probably in a little different area than when your leg was straight, but it's also a hamstring job. And then use that top hand to get heavy pressure into the floor for some bracing. And we're going to just start here by finding your full end range extension. So start as if you're doing a hip car, driving your knee behind you. Good. And then when you feel like you can't go any further back without losing the tennis ball, just try to take a look down your body and see where your leg's at. Okay? Go ahead and bring the leg back, adjust the ball if needed. And we're going to try to work right at that angle to do some hip rotation again. All right? So here we go. Brace, squeeze that ball, drive that leg back to the position you had just found, and then stay parked there. Just rotate your thighs so your heel goes higher than your knee, as high as you can, and then other direction. Heel goes lower than your knee, maybe touching the floor. As you continue this rotation back and forth, you're doing your best to keep the thigh bone completely still in space and just twist that thigh bone. Okay, keep working on this 20 more seconds. If you feel a hamstring cramp coming on, try to just ride the very edge before that cramp completely takes over the muscle, because this is great training for your brain to understand how to work in this shortened position. Keep training. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax it. Bring that knee forward. All right, let's do the other leg. So just go ahead, flip on over. I'm going to have Max twist around. So as you get set up on this other side, get that tennis ball or whatever you're using behind the knee, and just do one taster rep where you drive the leg behind you, noticing if you lose the ball, you can grab it, but especially noticing the angle of your thigh. How far can you get back? Okay. Now, one more thing to note here, Max is going to do it wrong here for a second, just arch his back. See how that does move the leg further back, but that's happening from the spine and not the hip, so we're not interested in that motion today. Okay, so go ahead, bring the knee back, get that prop all set up. Use your top hand on the ground for some serious core bracing to make sure your spine stays still, and then start driving your heel behind you. Find that end range extension, and then park it there, and just rotate your thigh bone to bring your heel higher than your knee, and then your heel lower than your knee, the whole time holding onto that ball and holding onto your hip extension position. Good. And as you rotate, you might feel the contraction or that near cramp changing location slightly. That's good. I want you to key into that. Give me 10 more seconds of good, solid work here. Trying to max out those muscles' abilities. 3, 2, 1, and relax. Awesome job. Okay, go ahead, come back to your first side, and we're going to vary this just a little bit. There's some great joke here about Max putting his best face forward or something. I can't quite figure it out, but I get the advantage because he doesn't have a mic, so I can just say whatever I want. Okay. All right, so this one we're going to vary it just a little bit. Very similar setup, but instead of twisting the thigh bone, you're going to wave that kneecap up and down. Now when you do, I want your ankle and your knee to be sort of moving together. So as you go up, your ankle and your knee will go up. As you go down, your ankle and knee will go down. But the whole time, you're in as much hip extension as possible. Okay, so get that tennis ball behind the knee, brace your body like crazy so your back doesn't want to extend here. and then start driving that heel behind you. Once you find end range, can't go any further, double down on your brace and start lifting your shin to the ceiling, only as high as you can without the thigh coming forward, and then go down towards the floor. Only as low as you can without the thigh coming forward or losing the ball. Keep waving up and down, constantly asking for more extension, more leg behind you movement, which probably won't happen, but you want to keep asking your body for that in order to find that hamstring. Here we go. Get in there. Yeah. 10 more seconds. That tennis ball will probably run away from you at some point if you're really working at your end range. So no worries, just grab it and keep going. 3, 2, 1, and relax that effort away. Great. Okay, other side. Probably no surprise, but you are going to feel your hamstrings tomorrow.
Or right now.
Or right now. You might feel them right now. Okay? Get that ball wedged into the back of the knee. Okay? Find your brace and send that leg behind you. Trying to feel how much you can extend. And then here we go. We start our 30 seconds of waving the shin towards the sky and then back down before you either lose the ball or let the thigh bone come forward. Just moving up and down. And I'm just naming, you might have much more or much less motion than Max, and that's fine because we don't care about the movement. We care about the contraction of your hamstrings. Good. Keep crushing that ball. 10 more seconds. Can you juice any more effort out of those hamstrings? 3, 2, 1, and relax it. Okay. Go ahead, set the tennis ball off to the side. And now we're going to pull into use this larger pillow to come into a face down position. So I'm going to have you just watch for a moment to make sure you know what's going on, because once you're face down, it's going to be hard to see. You're going to be laying so that your pelvic bones or your kind of low abdomen is supported on the pillow, okay? And this is really to help your back not extend, so we can kind of fine tune it. Okay, so you'll be like this. Okay, and then probably you're going to set your forehead on your hands, or if your shoulders don't like that, you could set a little extra pillow underneath your forehead and get your arms in a comfy position. You can see from this angle that Max's lower back is kind of flattened out or even rounded, and that's key. You might also, as we go through this, want this pillow up a little higher on your body, more like under your belly. Okay, so go ahead, join us here. So as you get set up into this position, take a moment to feel that your arms can get heavy into the ground, and your left leg, we'll do the right leg first, so the left leg can get heavy into the ground. Your arms and this left leg are your stability makers in your body here in this position, so you really want to feel connected there. And then very slowly, you're going to start engaging this right hamstring. Just lift your toes off the ground, keeping the leg pretty straight. And then very slowly start asking the kneecap to get lighter and lighter until you feel like you can lift it off the ground, and just hold it there for a moment. Now as you're holding this, you got to ask yourself, did I lift that leg by pushing my belly into the pillow, or did I lift it using the muscles in the back of my thigh? Okay, go ahead, lower the leg down. On this second rep, make any adjustments you need to so that we get all of the contraction in the back of the thigh and none of the movement or contraction in your lower back. All right, brace, slowly lift the toe, and then ask that kneecap to get lighter and lighter on the ground until you're lifting your thigh as high as you can without your tailbone lifting or your belly button driving into the pillow. Slowly lower down. Good. Each rep, as you get keyed in on this area, I'm hoping you can engage more contraction and maybe you can lift the leg higher. Go ahead, lift again. Hold it, taking it close to a cramp if you can find it, and then slowly lower. 2 more reps, making sure you set the knee all the way back down to reset your body, and then start lifting. Trying to really connect with that part of the back of your hip. Good. Slowly lower down. Now on this last rep, just a note that your butt might be contracting as well, but we actually want to focus the effort a little lower right into your hamstring. Okay, so this is not a glute exercise per se. Lift that leg, hold it to your maximum. Now turn up your body brace 20%, something more, and ask for even more out of this hamstring for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then a parachute landing back down to the ground. Awesome. Okay, so if your lower back is barking at you at all, or you think it would feel more comfortable to move the pillow before we do the other side, this is your moment to sort of readjust. And then let's do this work for the left leg. All right, so brace your body, elbows get heavy, right foot gets heavy, then your left toes are off the ground. So now you can focus on just getting your kneecap lighter and then lifting it. Because if we lift too quickly, you'll probably engage your back. All right, hold it. Then slowly control the lower. Feeling the contraction in the area of your hamstrings slowly fade. And set down. Okay, and then reset brace, second rep. Toe off the ground, start to ask that kneecap to lighten and then lift. Trying to find that feeling in the back of the thigh and intensify it. And then slowly lower. Good. Each rep, checking in. Is your belly button trying to drive forward? That means your spine's moving. All right, brace and lift. Can you get more contraction in the back of the thigh? Can you take those muscles closer to a cramp before lowering back down? We're getting there, just a couple more. Brace your body. Slowly ask that muscle to contract in order to lift the thigh. And really consider pushing that leg behind your body. Slowly lower. Good. Final rep. Make sure your lower back hasn't snuck into this exercise. Brace. Slowly lighten that kneecap on the ground. And then start lifting the thigh bone without your pelvis or spine coming along. Once you get to your max height, add more body tension and let that turn into more hamstring contraction. 5, 4, 3, 2, slow motion lower back to the ground. Great. The slower the better on this release. Good. Okay. So now we're going to do another round here. I'm going to walk Max and show you the progression of this position. But if you'd like, you could just do the second round from this exact same setup. Okay. And then I'll show you the little link at the bottom so you can jump ahead to the next round if you want to skip this explanation. For this next setup, we're going to be using what's called a collapsed kneeling setup, where one knee is going to be tucked under you, kind of like just like Max is showing. So let's keep that left knee tucked under and extend the right leg behind. And then sit on down onto that left heel and both arms on the ground. Okay. Once you get set here, just let your back knee rest for a moment and feel into, is this feel safe on that left knee? Feel safe on your left ankle? And also, I'm going to have Max to start just curl his left toe under so that it's actually, yeah, he's like on that. Okay. Again, that would be a spot to note. And if that doesn't feel good, you might need a pillow or something underneath your butt on that left side. Okay. Now from this setup, or from that laying flat on your stomach setup that we had a second ago, you're going to keep your toe on the ground and straighten your knee out as much as you can. Okay. And then brace your body like crazy. Start trying to turn on your hamstring, just under your brain control here. Because this is the muscle that's going to hold your leg in space as I now ask you to point or lift this back toe off the ground so that it's no longer holding your leg up and the complete holds in the back of the hamstring. 5, 4, 3, 2, slowly relax, set the foot down, set the knee down. Good. Max, you can adjust forward a little bit so you have room to push. Now, the classic thing that will happen here is that as you release that toe off the ground, your whole body is going to try to come up, and we don't want that. So this is when you're bracing, you want to really be sitting down, feeling your arms engaging. Okay, and let's do our second of 3 reps. Knee gets straight off the ground. Brace like crazy and turn on that hamstring so that now when we point the toe, all of a sudden the hamstring has to hold the leg in position or as close as possible. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowly melt it down. Okay. Now, unfortunately for Max, but it's a sign of good hip extension, he has quite a bit of height underneath his knee, so he could now straighten his other toe out and collapse a little closer to the ground. Look how this takes his hip into more extension. All right, and now he's going to have to hold that leg at a little bit more extension. Okay, you pick the setup for you for this final one. Straighten the knee out, find the hamstring and the body brace, and then try to hold that position best you can as you point the toe and hold it. 5, 4, 3, 2, stay with it. 1, super slow fade, and relax. Good, let's get the other side working. Nice work, Max.
That's harder.
That's harder. Great. Okay, so you're either setting up with that right toe curled under or you're laying on that pillow still. Either way, we can get our first set on this left leg now. Okay. From here, find a good solid brace to make sure you're not going to lift your body at all. Keep your toe on the ground as you straighten the back knee. And then turn on your hamstring to try to hold this position as you point the toe and hold this angle for the leg. You might feel your glute working, but continuously ask for more and more from the hamstring. 3, 2, 1, relax. Set that toe back down. Reset. Okay, I'm going to leave it up to Max if he wants to get closer to the ground or if he wants to stay where he's at. Okay, staying here. I love it. Brace your body. Lock the knee out or as straight as possible. And then straighten the toe and hold as close to that angle as possible. 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax it down. Good. As you're taking this relaxed moment, just come back to that first idea. We're trying to train your hamstrings. Other muscles might get involved, but you got to focus and center your focus on that hamstring. Brace your body. Straighten the leg out. Turn on the back of the thigh to hold that position, and now point the toe, trying to not let the leg drop, but knowing that it might, and you're holding on. 5, 4, anything left you've got, give it to me. 3, 2, 1, slow motion meltdown, and relax. Awesome job. All right, so go ahead, come out of that shape. Give yourself a little pat on the back because that was some serious training of some seriously large muscles in your body. And just one note that if you've taken this class now a few times and you really feel your hamstrings and you're ready to take it to the next step, there are a few different directions you could go in terms of Kinstretch classes to train. Snazzy single leg is a great class to try for working on some single leg deadlifting, or leave it to gait would be another one that I might recommend you try to link this work right into that gait pattern work. All right, have a great rest of your day, and thanks so much for joining us.